Base building, a place to call your own among the stars, is a feature that's been confirmed for Starfield. Let's take a look at everything we know so far about the feature. Now, before we jump into that, let's take a look at the latest information about the game. Just recently, Bethesda have tweeted that the release date for the game will be announced very soon. They haven't stated exactly when that announcement will come. We do know there's a dedicated Starfield showcase scheduled at some point in the not too distant future. It makes complete sense that a release date announcement would happen at that showcase. In related news, there's been some rumours that the release date may have been delayed again. The rumour comes from YouTuber Matty Plays, who says he's got some insider information, and indeed this was reported on by website Insider Gaming. Now, the website really does emphasise that we take this rumour with a pinch of salt, but it suggests that a potential delay may have moved the game Starfield's release into the second half of 2023 rather than the first half. But nevertheless, the rumour still suggests that the game could make a summer release. All of that aside though, like I say, take it with a pinch of salt, we'll have to see, but hopefully we'll hear sooner rather than later. In other related news, Microsoft have announced that they're laying off 10,000 workers from their various studios and other staff. This is really terrible news for all those affected, and really is another sign that both the games industry and tech industry are suffering. But the tech industry seems to be having a massive downturn at the moment, and this is affecting many people. A Bloomberg report suggests that some of these layoffs will be coming from Bethesda, and therefore from the studio that is developing Starfield. It seems very unlikely at this point in this late stage of development that such layoffs would affect Starfield itself, but either way it's a completely crappy situation for those who have been affected. So, moving on to Starfield and base building, here's everything we know. Players will have the ability to build outposts. They're about to choose from 1,000 different planets, so many locations to serve as an option for potential base building. I don't know about you, but the idea of effectively claiming an area of unexplored planet is a very compelling idea. Although this does raise another question: will players be able to have more than one base? Well, if we look at other Bethesda games in recent history that also have base buildings, such as Fallout 4, that did have the ability to have more than one base, so hopefully that will carry over to Starfield as well. Now, as we can see on the screen right here, the bases are built from prefabricated components. Here we can see a list of just a few of these, such as a hydroponic hab, a science hab, a military hab, a watchtower, and so on. Now, these structures have snap points that allow players to connect them together in pretty much any way they want, just so long as they fit the terrain and the other surrounding components. Each structure comes with its own set of requirements in terms of resources and power consumption. Resources, it seems, are gathered from planets. Exactly how that's done we don't yet know. Seems quite possible that the bases themselves will be able to harvest resources, or otherwise perhaps the NPCs will be able to do that for you. Maybe each planet will have a different set of resources that would make complete sense based on the planet's geological makeup. Now, power. Bases need power. How is this generated? Well, we've seen in the footage so far that wind farms are indeed a thing. It seems also likely that solar energy would be a thing as well, and your preference for using solar farms or wind farms will depend upon the type of planet that you're building on. Very likely there'll be other ways of generating power as well. Now, over the years, Bethesda have become no strangers to base building. Fallout 4 and Fallout 76 both featured the ability. Fallout 4 in particular was essentially Bethesda's first iteration of such gameplay mechanics, and at the time it really did show. Building in Fallout 4 was pretty clunky. Fallout 76 on the other hand used a slightly more refined version of the same formula, and over the years that is improved by quite a lot. So it seems that Bethesda certainly have learnt from their various experiences with the format, and this does show when it comes to Starfield, at least from the very limited footage that we've seen so far. Starfield's built-in functionality allows for an option to show a top-down view. This will make it far easier to construct your bases, allowing better placement for modules, buildings, prefabricated structures, and generally getting a better sense of the overall layout for your base. But that said, if you prefer to build from first person, it seems that's also possible as well. We can see some structures being laid down here from that first person perspective. Now, another thing that we noticed is that building components do have integrity. This could mean a number of different things, but one thing it does seem to imply is that base buildings or base components will have some form of health. This would suggest that bases can be attacked, perhaps by other NPCs, but it could also suggest equally that buildings could suffer damage in regards to environmental decay. Whichever the case, we'll have to wait and see on this one, but hopefully it also means that bases can't be fully destroyed in your absence. One thing that I know I found very frustrating with Fallout 4, and I think quite a few other people found also frustrating, was that every time you left a base, there was a good chance you'd be called back to it by some NPC, telling you that the base is under attack and you need to return right now to help out. And as soon as you'd help out, not too long later you'd get a message from another base pretty much giving you the same message, asking for help and your assistance. So this really did bog the gameplay down quite a bit. It's something I'd like to see completely avoided when it comes to Starfield, although maybe other players feel entirely different about that and did enjoy that aspect of base building. Do let me know your thoughts and feelings on that in the comment section below. Do you think it's pretty okay if your base gets completely destroyed in your absence, or if you have to keep returning to base upon base in order to defend it? Or do you feel that perhaps shouldn't be a thing, or that rather the base should be fully capable of defending itself? After all, we can see some base structures such as a military component and a watchtower, suggesting perhaps that bases would have the ability to defend themselves. Moving on, outposts and bases will serve a number of useful functions. For example, the base could be used as a resource gathering hub. Resources are going to be important. We don't really know why yet, but it seems obvious they'll be used for both construction of bases and potentially other vital modules as well. Further, players can assign NPCs to your bases. NPCs can then conduct specific tasks, and it seems that this will involve either resource gathering, researching, or perhaps even crafting various components for you. Research itself, meanwhile, appears to be fairly extensive. Here we can see research options available for pharmacology, food and drink, outpost development, equipment, and weaponry. Whilst projects in progress shows players can conduct research on their suits. We know, for example, that different suits give different benefits to various types of environmental factors and protection, so it makes sense that research may well help there. Whilst research into modifications on weapons seems to follow the same templates as Fallout, here we can see modifications for barrel mods, grip mods, and so on. So that covers pretty much everything we know so far about base building and crafting. Now, is base building something you're looking forward to in Starfield, or is it really not your type of thing? Whichever way you feel about that, do let me know in the comments section. Meanwhile, why not check out this Starfield video for everything we know currently about spaceships? Do take a look.